What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another edition of Fear the Fro Hug the Bro podcast. I am your host, Rassam Bahati, and I'm happy that you're here with me, listening, watching, wherever you are. Appreciate it. And for those of you that are already subscribed and shared some of the content that I've been pushing out lately, truly appreciate it. It's a labor of love, and to have people share the love is amazing. So I appreciate that. Yeah, today's guest is one of my all-time favorite people, and we've been talking about hopping on an official podcast for some time now, and so finally making it happen, and I'm excited about that because honestly, we both have very, very busy lives, and we're gonna touch on some of that as we talk through this pod because this man has been at it for a very long time as a cyclist, continue to be in the space as a cyclist. But before we hop into that, I do have some housekeeping that I just want to throw out there. As you know, I run the Bahati Foundation along with my father, my sister, and all the many supporters. And we have a few events coming up that I want to tell you about. One is May 8th, we have a Ride Your Bike to School Day, actually at an elementary school that I pass nearly every single day when I ride my bike off of Obama. It's called Baldwin Hills Elementary School. It's Ride Your Bike to School Day. It's May 8th. Go to the Bahati Foundation's website to learn more about that, how to get involved, volunteer, donate, come ride, whatever it may be. We've had a few of these already, and they are highly successful. And we're looking forward to that. It's just a lot of fun when you see the kids out there with their bikes and coming to school. Like, maybe before my time, kids used to ride their bikes to school a lot. During when I was growing up, we didn't ride our bikes to school, but we definitely rode our bikes in the neighborhood. So yeah, we're trying to push that narrative back that using the bike transportation. Um, Second is Sunday, May 18th is SBT on the road. It's the initial kickoff of Steamboat Gravel on the road. We will be doing a fundraiser ride, just a quick gravel ride, no more than 2 hours. We have a road option this year. It's going to be at Peddler's Fort. So if you're around on May 18th, that is a Sunday. We'll be just hanging out and riding, and post ride, we'll have raffles from Canyon, Wahoo, past Normal Studios, Morton, Pock Hellman, Schwabe, and more. So check that out. You can go to the Bahati Foundation website for that information as well. This fundraiser helps us get the kids to SBT. And as these ski resort towns and gravel racing, as amazing as it is, they are in places that are kind of expensive. So we want to continue to send kids there. We've done it now for 4 years, and we're looking forward to sending more. But all right, got that out of the way. Without further ado, a man that came on the scene, at least that I learned about, this had to be early 90s. It was actually the LA Olympics. I think that took him to stardom as he was the first African American track cyclist to get an Olympic medal. By this much, I'm not going to go into the controversial stuff that I want to talk about, and probably why he didn't have the gold medal. But, however, that wasn't meant to be because where he is today is where he's supposed to be. And I want to welcome to the show my man, Mr. Nelson Vails. What's up, Nelly?
Yo, I'm happy to be here. Just so happy to be here. You see, I set up some props.
Hey, you got the Tommy Bahama shirt on. Where you going, man?
Yeah, man. That's my RAGBRAI shirt, man. Every year I collect a shirt from RAGBRAI. Someday
you keep
saying I'd like this. To see more brothers and sisters there, but again, some of the brothers and sisters don't like to camp. Some could camp and hang, but I think some of our brothers and sisters can come with the Mac Daddy tour bus with a driver and chef and go city to city, because if you have a Mac Daddy tour bus, they have parking spaces for you to set up shop for your team to ride from A to B at RAGBRAI. All it takes is logistics.
So for those of us that don't know what RAGBRAI is, or RAGBRAI, just tell us, because I just learned about RAGBRAI probably about, 5-6 years ago. Did a deep dive into what it is. It looks amazing, but just tell the people what it is in the elevator pitch.
All right. First of all, if you type in on your YouTube search Nelson Vails RAGBRAI, right across America. Anyway, we're gonna get into that. type that in, you'll see some of my videos, and I take you on these little 30-minute adventures of this brother in the middle of America chilling with thousands of people to your left, to your right. And many a times you're either on the left side of the road or in the center of the road riding. People are passing you, you're passing people. You stop in every town, you get a piece of pie, you get lunch, you move on to the next beer garden, which is 3 miles up the road. Then you got to stop and get a shot from the guy who's running for office, things like that. So all the way along, whether it's 25 miles to the next town or 90 miles, every 10 miles, every 5 miles, there's some place to stop. So all levels of recreation can actually do this ride if you handle the logistics.
So, and where is this ride?
A ride across
Iowa?
Iowa.
Okay, right
So
across.
this year, if you look it up, for this year we start in Orange City, I think, and we end up on the east coast of the Mississippi, and people dip their tires. There's a video. I just made a little 2-minute video a couple of months ago on my YouTube channel. It takes you to the fantasy of what RAGBRAI is all about, with just some
Nice. Yeah,
skills.
one day I definitely want to get out there and do RAGBRAI.
You know who to reach out to personally via
Man, I keep
email.
reaching out, man. Y'all keep doing me wrong, man.
No, man, get this every time, man, because usually I have a spot by myself, but if I bring a guest, then they got a room with me, and that's kind of hard.
Yeah, we
Because
grown.
it's
We don't do roomies. Yeah, we don't do roomies.
because
We
it's
grown.
luxury, and we
Grown
can only
people.
the president gets luxury, and then the guest gets semi-luxury.
That's
But
right.
anyway, we'll talk about that off air.
Yeah. We'll actually I'll leave a link in the description for RAGBRAI. I mean, you got a bunch of stuff going on. We're definitely going to cover that, but RAGBRAI is one of the things that I personally want to do. It looks fun. It's not a race. You can go fast if you want. You can go slow, but it's more about, we loosely throw around community a lot, but it is a community based event that just brings everyone together. And Lord knows we need it
Big
more.
fundraiser. It's a super big fundraiser, and you go from A to B with smiles along the way. If you ride too fast, nobody sees you.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad I'm getting slow. But look, let's go back in time. The One of my all-time favorite races are coming up in Harlem, the skyscraper. I've only done it 4 times, but each time I've done it, it's been absolutely amazing. And last year was pretty cool for me. I got there a few days earlier, so I got a chance to, roll around Harlem and really start to see a little bit more of the city. Ride in Central Park. Actually, I had never ridden in Central Park, only Prospect Park. And you hooked up with me, and you hooked me up with some of your friends. But the standout outside of the bike giveaway we did with the Bahati Foundation, you actually took me to your childhood. Would you call it an apartment? We would call it an apartment in LA.
It was project housing. So it was
Project
apartment.
housing.
Yep,
It didn't look like a project
housing.
last year, but maybe take us back to when you grew up in that area, because you did give me some little stories here and there. You were on the bottom floor, I believe. But just take us back to Nelson Vails. What age was that?
Man, that was from the time you could ride a bike. So, growing up in Harlem in the project housing, everyone had kids, and everyone, brothers and sisters, had someone their age to play with. So every Christmas, all the kids got bikes. It's not like that today, but back then, and thanks to the Bahati Foundation, kids are getting bikes. Every year, we all got bicycles for Christmas, whether your parents could afford it or not. All the kids had a bike. So if a kid didn't have a bike, you gave him a ride. No one was ever left out to go play. But from that point on, where I took you to the front of the project housing, Central Park was only 5 city blocks away.
Yeah.
And that was our playground. So from the little BMX bikes to the 5 speeds, to the 10 speeds, to the nicer 10 speeds, I graduated doing laps around Central Park. That's the short end of the story.
Was Central Park is like a massive, beautiful backyard for a lot of New Yorkans, right? Because if you're living in the projects or high rise, you don't have a yard. And so when we were there last June, the weather was mint,
Beautiful.
right? It was perfect, and everyone was out. Like, everyone was out. So I guess my question, back then when you were growing up, being that you were in the projects, and then you had Central Park only 5 blocks away, were those 5 blocks like a difference in economic and like disparities? You know what I mean? Like, was Central Park was like that's where the money was, or was Central Park still kind of rough and tough like it was in the projects where you grew up?
No, in the sense of coming in from Harlem, coming in from the Harlem side, the economics change as you head downtown. Now it's role reversal many years later. The
Yeah,
economics
of
change
course.
as you roll
As always.
uptown now, back
Yeah, yeah.
again where Harlem is uptown. So now it's a role reversal. But coming in on the Harlem side with the 110th Street Hill, as you make your way downtown, what you get to see the skyscrapers, and there's green grass and there's trees everywhere and people everywhere. So the runners and walkers have taken over the park to where the cyclists have to only go out early in the morning. And most of the people that are aware, the runners that go out early, are aware of the cyclists doing their exercises. But in the
Mm,
daytime, the park is closed for anyone that wants to post a time on Strava
yeah,
because it's a basic bicycle ride
yeah,
around the park
yeah.
with what we did. We
Central
actually
Park
did a
is
bicycle ride around the park.
such a tourist attraction as well. So you have people
Yes.
that are like super oblivious to what's going on. They're just excited to be in New York and in Central Park and living out Home Alone.
Yeah. You mentioned Harlem, and the Harlem race is coming up in June. Again, Father's Day weekend.
Yeah.
Rich has been working really hard with the city, and the city has been working really hard. It's just a matter of some of the red tape with government. But at
Mhm.
the same time, we're trying to change the tradition of the course
Okay.
where there's a left and right turn. So we're trying to take it 2 blocks deeper into going further downtown from 120th to like 118th and then back on the Massanutten. So we're trying to set up a left and right turn where there's some pinch points to single it out before you hit
Sure.
Madison Avenue on the long back straight
Oh,
to
that'd
either
be
open the
cool.
gap or
Yeah.
close the gap. But that's another year to come. But this year is going to be a 1K. Again, as the tradition, 10 turns, 1K around. And back in the day, it's kind of fun because back in the day, now everything is timed. I watch races, I watch the Crit Series live. And I tell you, for all you listeners out there, I'm a brag and boast. As a sprinter, the Pro 1-2 race, the pro race was 100 Ks. It wasn't
Absolutely.
time. It was 100
Say
Ks.
it again for the
You
people
rode
in the
two
back.
hours.
Say it again for the people in the back.
You guys got it easy. You guys riding 45, 50 minutes. It was 100 Ks. A sprinter
100%.
like me would finish that just by sitting on and pedaling because Eddie
100%.
B had us do that. I don't think there's any sprinter out of the team that could not finish a 1K, 4 corner, easy turn, sitting on, don't go to the front, grab a couple of preems. At the beginning, it was what I did, but I hang on for dear life. But the crits back in my day was 100K, $100 a lap, sometimes even on the backstretch. You guys got it so easy, easy with your timed events. I'm looking at it going, man, you definitely go through more than 2 water bottles on our crits.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, kind of getting off
All
my
right, let's go
my
back.
script here. No, but this is great because super weekdays, and I'm sure you did some super week to get ready for track nationals and all these other big events you were doing. But the crits at super week were at a minimum 2.5 hours because you were racing 100K. Some of them had
100Ks.
hills, some of them were 1K, some of them were K and a half. It didn't matter. And you always had a feed zone in a crit,
Yes.
always, because you're not going to make it racing at 30
Yes.
plus miles an hour for 2.5 hours with an international field. You had to have a feed.
Yes. And I watched the Athens criterium where the kids lap the field. Can I use the word kids? The kids lap the
They are
field.
kids.
It's kind of fun to see that because when I race the back, if you look back, you can see the lead motorcycle when it was single file. You
Yeah.
get 7-Eleven on the front or someone like that. The Swin guys, the Weedy Swin guys. When it became one line, the first guy could see the last motorcycle, but then again, it would bunch back up after a preem,
Yeah.
and it takes back those times. But I watched those guys lap the field, going, "Oh, that's definitely doable in 100Ks."
No,
Where two guys can
absolutely.
lap the field, and then two more guys can come lap the field. Now you got a
Exactly.
race.
Exactly. Man, say it again because that's what would
Yes.
happen, right? A group of three will lap the field, and then you have 150 guys behind, like, no worries. Another group of four will lap the field. Now you got seven guys up, and then
Yep.
next thing you know, there's 40 minutes left in the race, and then another three lap the field, and one of those three is one of the guys that already lapped the field, and now he's the winner.
Yes. Went with the other guys.
Yeah, it's like,
Yep.
man, it is
It's a
crazy,
points
and
race on a crit circuit. This is a
it's so
real.
funny in the group chat that we're in, we're watching that I'm in, we're watching the race, Athens, and you see a lot of times they're coming through the start finish. And this podcast is not about bashing crit racing right now and what it is. I mean, you race who you have to race, right? But I'm telling you, there were races no way in hell did you see 4, 5, 6 guys across the start finish going across the line. It was single file from when they say go until it was over. You didn't have time to rest or save your legs. It was full throttle. But I like where this is going because it is different, and I want to see cycling get back to that. There's an argument that the attention span is from a spectator is only 45 minutes or 30 minutes or whatever, and that's what works for like motocross and stuff like that. But I don't know, man. I
I don't
I, I,
know
I like the 100K. There's a lot of
if
different nuances
Adnan
that can go
Keaton, if you're
into it.
listening, the pro race, you'll see many people at the field. Then you have a race within the race because the preems will still be going for the field preems, the lap the field preems. We had all of that. The first guy to lap the field, $500. You lap it again, loose change preem. So, you had the girls with guys walking around with the buckets for the loose change. Everybody remembers the loose change preem.
Oh yeah.
So
All right,
anyway.
let's rewind.
Okay.
You growing up in the projects in Harlem. Everyone's got a bike. All the homies got a bike. When was the moment that bike transcended into training or a bike racer? Nelson Bell's a bike racer.
I could tell you that exactly. And I'll be with my buddy Avilo York. His name is Avilo York. He's probably ridden the most laps.
Is that the tall black guy I met?
Yep. He's ridden more laps than anyone in the whole world around Central Park. Avilo York. Him and I ride. I'll see him in a couple of weeks. But anyway, I ran into him by chance because I was on a loaner Peugeot PX10. And this is graduating from hanging out. So there's a lifestyle there where I was a mascot at a motorcycle club, cleaning bikes, busting tables or whatever. But I was a mascot. One of the motorcycle club riders had a really nice bike that didn't ride it. And I asked if I could ride around the park. And he let me ride it. And I took care of it. And that's when I connected with a group. I guess whatever Tuesday nights, Wednesday nights, whatever nights they were riding in Central Park, I connected with a group with shorts, tennis shoes, I think, and loaned a bike and sat on wheels. Didn't know what I was doing, but sat on wheels lap after lap. And then I was asked, it's like, hey, you're pretty good. You should come out. And that's one thing led to another. Short story, one thing led to another, from an oversized Peugeot loaner PX10 to going right into bike racing. First thing I learned, once I was set up with equipment, first thing I learned was how to sit a wheel and not touch it. First thing.
So I got a question for you. A lot of people that I've seen that come into the sport without having a background, like myself, no one in my family raced bikes. My mom, my dad, my siblings, not my grandfather, not my grandmother. So bikes is not in our DNA, if you will. But when I find people that get on a bike that has never ridden a bike competitively before and they get it, I always ask, did you play another sport? Because there is something about people that are athletic. Not all athleticism transfers over to the bike, but a lot of it does. So if you have hand-eye coordination and stuff like that, and grit and toughness, a lot of that transfers over to the bike. Did you play other sports? How did knowing sitting the wheel and drafting come to you so easily?
That's another good question. Again, growing up as a child in the projects, we had day camps, summer camps. So we did everything seasonally. You had softball, baseball, you had pee-wee football. My parents, not knowing now what I didn't know back then, my parents worked hard because you needed baseball equipment, you needed football equipment for all the seasons or whatever they signed you up with. I did whatever they signed me up with. So yes, we played football, baseball, softball, swim, so you don't drown in the pool, swim classes.
You know how to swim?
No, I suck. I swim like 2 rocks.
That's how I'm gonna get you.
I can snorkel, though.
You ever cross me, I'm taking you to the ocean. We're gonna go.
Yo, man, I can snorkel real good, though. I'll show you some video.
So that's cool. And then so the Peugeot laps around Central Park, and I've heard this story before, but I want you to tell it for the listeners because it didn't take long for you to be noticed and then start competing, right? And you were competing in Central Park?
First started competing in Central Park. So I'm going to try to fast forward, move backwards a little bit. So try to understand my listeners out there. After Avilo York turned me on to cycling, follow, sit the wheel, right? Because I touched the wheel and almost crashed. Never crashed touching the wheel. Almost, right? So even today, I don't recall ever crashing touching the wheel because of my first lesson And then I was learning how to sit the wheel. But moving fast forward, I meet a man starting the race on Saturday mornings, Century Road Club, with the Lona Peugeot that the guy trusted me with. I meet a guy, Fred Mangoni,
Mm.
old Italian guy, because I was just some bummy kid growing dreadlocks, shorts that was not correct, not the right shoes. And Fred Mangoni, the goodness of his heart, he had Avalo York take me to Conrad, buy me a pair of shoes. I think they were Luigi's at the time, and because that was a hot shoe, and a pair of shorts, which I think was Constelli from this boutique bike shop in New York City,
Those
and
were
sent
wool
me on my
shorts
way.
back then. Did you have chamois in them back then?
Yeah, it was a real chamois, the real skin
Yeah,
kind
yeah,
of
yeah, yeah.
chamois, like wipe your
Real
cars. Yeah,
thin. Yeah, yeah.
kind of like that. But then back then, moving fast forward, started racing Cat 3. But get this, all right, you listeners out there, I'm just remembering, Rasan. I don't think everyone knows the story. I was such a kid, me and my buddy Junior, we would go out to the clubs on Friday nights, and I would oversleep Saturday morning. Get this. We would go from the clubs, you pay $2, waistline parties, whatever. I'd go home, take a nap, eat a box of Wheaties, and my friends would go to 110th Street Hill. Mind you, we're doing all nighters. They would go to the top of 110th Street Hill, and I would go jump on my bike, go race to win money at the bike race to buy breakfast at the Japanese breakfast place. We called it the Japs.
Mm.
Like you can get eggs, sausage for like $1.50 or whatever back
Those days
then.
are long gone.
But I would win $20, whatever it was, at the Saturday morning races and buy my buds breakfast. And those are stories that I don't know. I still, when I go to Harlem, I always look at this place and say that that's where the Japs used to be. And it
Mm.
was a little counter restaurant, no seats, no tables, just you sit
Yeah,
at the counter. And it was some Asian guys cooking, but we called it the Japs. That was just the nickname the kids gave it.
yeah.
But
And it
moving on.
wasn't looked at as being derogatory or anything.
No, no,
Yeah.
not at all. But moving on. So category 3 races, Fred set me up, moved on, got recognized by Lenny Preheim because I was winning Cat 3 races. Mind you guys, there's a lot in between of me sitting wheels and learning how to. But the motivation was if you win, you're going to make some money. It's like, oh, that's easy if I could cross the line. But that was coming from natural ability too. Like you said,
So
from other
was
sports.
was the motivation for money like did your family need help or did you get to keep the money or when you won the money you divvied it out to like your mom and dad? Because I'll tell you when I started winning money I was still living at home and my parents did so much for me I didn't need the money. I didn't have any bills. I didn't have a car. I didn't have a cell phone. It's
We're
like here.
talking a different era. We're talking a whole generation ahead. From
Yeah.
me winning money, we're talking $25 when things are still 2 for a penny,
Yeah, yeah.
things like that. So
But did
you
did
can
your
get a
prize
long
money
way
help
with
your
$5,
household?
but I didn't divvy it out. Basically, that little bit of money, I spent it up on my buds because it was fun money. My parents didn't have to give me money because I made money
Sure.
like that, right?
Yeah.
And I spent that up. But the blessing was not even looking at the money. The motivation was the the fun because I didn't know what I was doing, and I was doing better than kids that was trying or
Taking this
wanted
very
to.
seriously. Yeah, yeah.
How's that? So a lot of Jedi Master natural ability came into play that I recognize. Skipping again forward, let's take a big leap. Through high school, I knew I was going to be a professional cyclist. So we're
So
going from category 3.
in high school, you hadn't gotten on the track yet.
Just introduced.
Just introduced to the track. And which track
Just
were you
introduced.
introduced to?
1978, 79. 1978, 79. Introduced to the Casino Velodrome
Casino.
with Leonard Nitz. Lenny Preheim took me out there. It was a scary moment like you would at the LA Velodrome. Very scary. I raced every event as a kid. They put me in everything. Points race, pursuit, kilo. Hated the kilo.
I don't think anyone loves the kilo, but that's interesting too because when I got into cycling, I started on the velodrome. I didn't know anything about roads, so our stories are a little different. We both grew up in rough areas. You Harlem, I'm Compton. Found a sport very young, right? I was good at it and didn't really know, but having fun. You were really good at it, knew it, and having fun. Um, and then, but you started on the road, and I started on the track. And man, it's a lot of fun actually to look back at those times on the velodrome because the velodrome taught me a lot of skills that I used on the road. So, what skills did you learn on the road do you think that transferred over to the track? And then the second question to that, what was it about the track that pulled you in? Because you were doing everything, like you said, and I think that's a beautiful thing because now they're kind of grooming kids at 12, 13 years old to be a specific sort of rider, and they don't even know what they are at that age.
All right, I can answer that very easily. First of all, I'm gonna bring something to everyone's attention. Just you guys think about this. Luke Fritzer, he
Fetzer,
just
yeah,
won the
yeah,
crit. Luke
yep.
Fritzer, he rides the track.
Mm-hmm.
He's racing and riding the way he is in all these crits because he rides the track in the winter.
Mm-hmm.
His pedaling action is so nice. His acceleration in the saddle is so nice. It's because of the velodrome. So now, I just want people to watch him when he races, and I'm giving up the secret, but I'm telling everyone needs to ride the track. Back in my day, all the road guys rode the track. You had to have some experience. All the Europeans, they all have track experience.
Yeah.
They don't have to race it, but they have experience to get on the track bike and can do a Madison. All your Tour de France guys can actually do a serious Madison because they have some type of track experience because it's part of the DNA of riding a bicycle. And a lot of our crit racers do not have any track experience, which will make them better handling crit racers.
Yeah, one thing about the velodrome though is especially for Europe, there's more tracks that are accessible, right? Like
Accessible.
we live where we live, you're in San Diego, there's a track very close to you, and if you wanted to drive 2 hours, you could be at an indoor track where I'm at. If I want to drive an hour, I could be at Encino. If I want to drive 5 hours, I could be in San Jose, right? So I've got San Jose, Encino, Carson, and then
Yeah.
I can go to San Diego. I can stay in my state and go to four different tracks within 5 hours of each other. So I agree with you. I think that, and I've said this publicly and privately to USA Cycling specifically, that I think every child before they get a license needs to learn how to ride the track. And I think what we're seeing right now in our sport is the lack of guidance, and so that's why you're seeing like participation numbers are down. Speed Week is going on right now, and maybe they're averaging 70 riders a night. Maybe, it wasn't that long ago, but I mean, it's been a while that I was racing Speed Week. 150, 160 riders
Yep.
every
Yep.
every single night.
Had the limit the
Yeah.
field.
So yeah, we need to get back to that, and I think we just sometimes we over what was the saying, like we put the cart before the horse. It's like, nah, let's put the cart first. I mean, let's put the horse first, and let's get back to the fundamental things that we can do to make sure that we're feeding the sport the right way. It's not overnight success, and I think that's what our sport is kind of, especially us. That's all we're banked on now. We're looking for the next best rider, the Brendan McNulty.
Yes.
So I guess, are we just happy with one Brendan McNulty a year or one Matteo Jorgensen a year? Now we have about 4 or 5 really solid U.S. guys over racing in Europe, but they all kind of come through the same lineage. We got to keep repeating that. We got to keep repeating it and just not let
Yes.
them have their, 5 to 10 years and then die off. It's like, how do you continue to nourish that?
Well, there's very few. There's people in the hopper that are moving up through the programs now that they are offering these different programs. But again, it comes from results.
Yeah.
That's the only way you get the call. I was only included, and I'll tell everyone, I was included in everything because I had results. Got invited to T-Town, didn't know what I was doing, started winning, placing, and I was invited back. I was a good kid. But a lot of kids don't have that opportunity because they don't have the results to be recognized. So there's the
So
black and white
T-Town, for
difference.
those of you who don't know, that's Trexlertown, Pennsylvania, and that was like
Mecca.
that was the
Uh-huh.
Madison Square Garden of cycling, or the Forum
Yes.
where the Lakers played of cycling. If you wanted to race track bikes and
Still
race
today.
against some of the best people, you had to go to T-Town. Let me ask you a question about like integrating within a team. We're the same, right? We're the raisin and milk. There's not many other African American or people of darker complexion racing bikes when you grew up, when I grew up. How was it when I mean, we're skipping ahead, but you started to win. Now you're starting to travel abroad. You have to, you're, I think teammates is a very loose term. You really do become family no matter sometimes what you look like is not, it wasn't for me. It wasn't all, peaches and cream. It wasn't all gravy. It was some difficult times, but I had some really, really solid friends, right, within my team. How was it for you, being an African American, being good, because sometimes that backfires against you when you're like the top dog. How was your time, being a professional, and.
To answer that, from day one, turning professional in 1988, the fall of 1988, again, being accepted. Man, how can you say, you saying how was my time as a professional? Again, I was included and never excluded because of my Olympic medal. So once I did turn professional, I wasn't the I turned professional as a marquee rider for the 6 days, but I wasn't the individual that was better than anyone else. I put my shorts on one leg at a time like all the other cyclists. So I was equal to everyone. And I think that acceptance of, get this, folks, I was really working hard on learning the language wherever I was. From the hellos to thank yous to how to order food was so important for me to be cultural aware, if I can use that word. So from every city and all the cyclists from different teams, because again, I was on a part of an international team where you sit at a dinner table and there's 5 languages going on, but there's someone from Belgium, Michelle Barton, translating or something like that. But then again, I would start to pick up things and start to learn. And that was so important of not being, I'm going to say, a lazy American.
So let me just challenge you a little bit. So are you saying from your entire experience of being a professional cyclist as an African American from New York, you had no issues with the color of your skin being a predominant white sport?
I was a main character in a soap opera.
Period.
Yeah, I was a contract rider.
I'm not saying you're lying. I'm just saying that's hard to believe, given the era that you grew up in and given my personal experience within the sport. You know what I mean?
Yes. That again, I'm in a generation where I was the first and only. And when I turned professional and started riding on the road in Belgium, again, I would go on the group rides with all the major cyclists, and I was not an asshole. How's that? I was accepted, yes, and everyone liked me because I smiled.
I was just going to say that.
Behind my back, whatever, everything was off my shoulders because, again, I was being handled. If there was things going on behind me, I think the promoters would not let me see that. So whatever went on in the background, the promoters and race directors would not let me see anything like that.
I would wholeheartedly agree with you on that. I mean, from the day that I met you, you've been the same person, right? Everyone loves you. You're always smiling. You bring good energy. You're always positive. Even though, I mean, we've done some work together. It's been long days. And so I think that is a great lesson, no matter what I'm trying to stir up here. That is a great lesson that, you stay true to yourself and you be a nice person. I just told that to my daughter this morning, taking her to school. It's like, just be a kind person. You know what I mean? If others have negative things to say, that doesn't concern you, right? It's just like, just be a good person. We were talking about being courteous, you know what I mean? Being courteous to people, being nice. So I appreciate that, man. And I think that is a great lesson because, like I said, you have been who you are ever since I met you, which I think was 2000 at the
Nike camp.
I think it was 2000 or 2001.
Would that have been Nike?
It was at Nike. I don't even know what I was doing there. But you was the man. They had a sign for you and everything. And that's when I had just learned about you. I didn't know that you were an Olympian and that you got an Olympic medal and you was in movies and all kind of other stuff.
I just had a Nike autograph card here somewhere.
Look at you showing off.
I still have one somewhere.
So, out of all the cool things you've done, I mean, you've been in movies, commercials. Were you in a Levi commercial?
No. Get this.
Converse.
No. The Levi's jeans that everyone wears today, the brand on the shelf called Relax Fit started in 1984 because my legs would not fit in a pair of jeans for Levi's.
And that was the year you won the Olympic medal.
Yep. The gap was just beginning. I'm not going to say I was responsible, but for some reason, eventually a Relax Fit pair of jeans came out.
All right.
You
So
know,
anybody
because
listening out
I don't
there
know,
that have
somebody
a
can look it up and
connection,
see when was that introduced, the relaxed fit, but I could not fit in a pair of their jeans at the time, and so we
all
I
right,
was buying like two
whoever is
sizes.
out there that's got a connection to Levi's, we need to get some we need to get
Clarification.
we need to get a brand spot for Nelson for the relaxed fit. I mean, they already paying Beyonce, so they can go ahead and plug Nelly, which leads me to another question, and could be controversial. I don't think so. And this is from my perspective. So I believe, excuse me, I believe you've done a lot, um, publicly and quietly, for the sport of cycling. Even just your presence, right? Um, I believe like Major Taylor, like Dave Osborne, like your homie Avalon,
Envelope.
Avo, sorry. Um, you inspire people, and sometimes you don't know it, right? I've learned that through social media. People hit me up now because we're more accessible than ever. Excuse me. Um, and I feel like the sport owes you more than. Well, let me finish. Let me finish.
Okay. Okay.
This is you. This is you. I know you're a super humble dude, but I feel like the sport owes you. And I'm gonna ask you a question, and from your answer is gonna be what I will follow up with. So the Olympics are coming back around. They're back in LA where you won. How long ago was that?
40, 30 plus, 40 years ago,
That
42.
was 1984. So yeah, 30 something
Yeah.
years.
It'll be 40 years by the time.
40, yeah, 41 years, right? What have the Olympic Committee from the US or USA Cycling, at what capacity do they have you involved for the LA Olympics coming up in 28?
Zero.
Okay. So, my point is, I feel like not that they need to parade you around, or do anything like that, but you are still living in your history. It hasn't been done since 1984, what you
Won't be done
accomplished.
again.
It hasn't been done. And to be frank, more than likely is not going to be done coming up at the next Olympics, because if you look at the talent pool that's out there now, they're not being developed the way they need to be developed to be racing at a 9.7 in a 200 meter to qualify, right? So my point is, I feel like oftentimes, not oftentimes, you are overlooked, undervalued. And I always ask myself, what needs to be done from our community to make sure you are being given the flowers that you need, specifically for the 2028 Olympics that are coming back to LA. You should be on every news channel from now on to the Olympics, inspiring the youth, getting families to the track to watch the velodrome racing, getting them out to the Olympics. I mean, I know I'm saving my pennies so I can take my family to watch. This could be a once in a lifetime thing. We may not ever see another Olympics in LA in our lifetime. We may not
Mm-hmm.
ever go to another Olympics. So my point is, as you answer, absolutely zero. So we need to figure something out. I don't have the answer. You probably don't have the answer, but I
Don't
think
have the answer.
collectively, the listeners, the viewers out there collectively, we can figure out and make it happen because they owe it to you. Seriously,
Let,
man.
let me let me tell you this.
They owe it to
Like
you.
just
And
like
that's
you,
my
I'm gonna
story, and
interrupt
I'm
you.
sticking to it.
Thank you. And this helps me to lead into this for all our listeners out there. For years, and people don't know it, I'm my own agent. And it's really fun. And I smile and stay humble when people say, man, you should do this and you should do that. How come you're not doing this? It's like, dude, if I don't wake up and do this podcast and make calls, I'm my own agent. So for the you should contact your buddy who knows a buddy that needs a new client that's an agent to set it up for 2028. So if
Mhm.
anyone's out there that knows somebody that needs a new client, I'm open to find an agent so we can do these Ben Gay commercials for the Olympics or
Yeah.
whatever. Shake some hands, kiss some babies. But I'm looking forward to the Olympics coming around. I'm looking forward to the VIP status that I would carry going there. And
That's
that's
right.
what's most important because during my efforts and time of enjoying my week at the Olympics, I was really enjoying the people watching.
Mhm.
And I want to be some of those people live there watching today.
Y'all heard it, folks. You know somebody out there? Hey, Justin Williams worked with a huge management firm. Maybe he could tap you in. I mean, I'm not even gonna say
Yeah,
it's
it's
a
different.
worthy
It's
cause.
different.
It's a right
Yeah.
thing to do. You know what I mean? You should be there. I see behind you, you got a tell us just we can't stay here forever. I mean, we could, but we all got things to do. But I do want to talk about a couple things I see behind you. One, the yellow, black, red Nelson Vails jersey. I've seen that one. That's got some flair to it from. Is
The
that the
Raleigh
Raleigh?
days.
The Raleigh days.
Right.
Just,
Now,
just just tell us quickly about that.
okay, that year I joined Raleigh, that was in New Jersey, and it was really nice to be the face of a brand. I was African American, the only African American, and then to come through with the Olympics. But for the Raleigh Bicycle Company, the USA, I was a brand face in that iconic design that Cheetah Sporting Goods originally did. Became more popular not only on me, but Connie Finney,
Mm-hmm.
and a whole slew of the Levi's Raleigh team, who many of them was on the Olympic team in '84 as well. So it was a successful jersey, successful team that year. And I just loved the jersey and I just kept it up and we did a replica of it. And there's been many replicas since then, but yeah, here's something I'll put out there. You know, there's a lot of major tailor cycling clubs,
Mm-hmm.
different designs, whatever. 100 years from now, I still got, where am I? I still got another 50 years to go. So sometime after 50 years, when I'm long gone, that may be the Nelson Vails Cycling Club jersey, as there is a Major Taylor Cycling Club. And a lot of people don't know, I have a lot of similarities between myself and Major Taylor. All my little stills that I kept of him, I have little stills of me in the same thing 100 years later. And that's on a YouTube video as well, a little music video I put together,
Yeah,
slideshow.
I'll definitely link the YouTube video so people can check it out. And I would say too, you don't have to wait till you're dead and gone to start a Nelsonville Cycling Club. I think that's something we should definitely get going now. And yeah, I think there are some companies and brands out there that will fully get behind that. I mean, you've got a great partnership. You guys see the jerseys in the back if you're watching the GFNY. Man, you've been all over the place with this.
You know, the
Yo,
flower
let me call you
jersey,
out one second. Hold on. You were supposed to take me to Cozumel like 4 years ago. That one, Mexico, and you haven't taken me yet. So
okay.
I owe
So
you.
let's talk
And
about
you owe
Cozumel
me.
right now. Sean, are you listening? Let's talk
Sean,
about
what's up?
Mexico. All my Rasan Bahadi listeners and fans, please, 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 if you can bring me 10 people, if you can give me 10 registrations, and this is a couples trip. Guys, girls, this is couples because you need a witness to go with you to Cozumel. You cannot go alone. You need a witness, whether it's a partner, whatever partner, however you roll. You
Does
need
a
a
bike
witness to
count
come
as a
and share the
partner?
room. Say that again.
Does a bike count as a partner?
No, you and your bike, because we're going to ride the bike second, but we're going to have fun first.
That's right.
Cozumel. Cozumel, you and your date is going to have fun first, and we ride the bike second as we do the VIP trip.
All right, give
So
us the
you and
dates for
I are
Cozumel.
discussing, and we'll post it up there for you, that we're going to have you in a contest where if you could bring me 10 dozen people, we're going to set everybody up in their own corral, because I want a lot of brothers there. You don't have to stay where I stay, because I'm pretty bougie, but you can find a place to stay.
Give
I
us
stay
the
at the
dates.
Intercontinental.
Give us the dates.
The dates are
Roughly. What
November,
time of the
November
year?
14th weekend.
Okay.
November 14th weekend. I'll
November.
be dropping a video real soon on last year's event.
Perfect.
But right now it's private.
All right, before we get out of here, Nelson,
Yeah.
it's always great to catch up. Some of the things, you shared today, I've heard before. Some are new, and I'm sure there's many more things that we can get into. And maybe that's something that we could talk about next time, where we just focus on one era of cycling, or maybe like your time in Asia racing the Karens and stuff like that. I mean, that's a whole segment in itself that we didn't even touch on. And I think, and honestly, educating the viewers about what Karen racing is, and it's like
Man,
watching NASCAR or watching horse racing. It's money involved. There's a lot of
if you saw
tactics.
some of
There's
my home videos,
yeah,
man, I think some people would freak out of my home videos. I cherish a lot of my home videos that I'm so happy that I was able to walk around with a camera. So how about this? For your listeners, let's mastermind some sort of local event. Let's make it a fundraiser where you ride with Nelly for the Bahati Foundation. But we'll sit in an auditorium. I don't know. Let's make it a real intimate 25, 50 guests at a large screen. And I'll show some of my videos, some of my home videos from living in Europe, being the only African American. And I'm gonna bring up something else, being the only African American to live and race Japan. But I'll show some of my home video and narrate it.
There you
That
go.
way, you're just not watching and listening. And also, Rasan, I want to bring something up that your listeners do not know.
Go ahead.
The first three spoke and disc wheel was written on the track by a black man.
Is that the front zip?
Front zip, three spoke, rear zip was first written and tested by a black man on the track. Now it's a must-have staple for everyone on the velodrome. But no one knows, but you know now
But you know
that I
now.
first tested that as a black man at the
All right,
60s.
Zip. I already see a partnership coming for the 2028 Olympics. Bring back a Nelson Vails edition front three spoke wheel. It'll be fire. We'll put some great graphics on it, and wheels make a big deal on the track. I mean, you got to have the fast wheels. So, you know what? I think that's a great way to end our show with a little bit of more of your history. Again, Nelson, you know how I feel about you. You my man. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to sit down and talk to me, and so we can bring this to the people. I love all the ideas that we've spit out today, specifically the zip wheel, also a narrating night, a night with Nelly to go over just some of your history with your home videos. I think that'd be incredible. So we already planted the seed. We're going to work on making sure that happens. I'm here to help, and I'm sure there's others out there. So if you own a place that can host, 30, 40, 50 people and want to do a nice little night with Nelly, just hit me up, hit him up, and we'll make it happen. So before we get out here, anything else you want to say, Nelly?
That's it, man. GFNY, look it up, folks. That's my little Grand Fondo, New York. If you wonder what GFNY means, Grand Fondo, New York, it started with me and a bunch of peeps, running from Central Park up to Bear Mountain and back. Now it's an actual real bike race for UCI pros, along with everyone, the elite racers. So I want more of our brothers and sisters to register and sign up. I'm offering a discount registration on the website GFNY. Check it out for 2026. You get a jersey, you get the ride with me and many other pros. It's like the New York Marathon. You can race it, or you can try to race it with the elite guys, but still post a time and have a good time. Demonstrate your fitness. Sweet. That's what it is, the bicycle fitness for everyone.
You heard it, folks. That is Nelson Vails, straight from Harlem, New York. I am your host, Rasan Bahadi, and I really appreciate you watching Feel the Fro podcast. And don't forget to subscribe and share this if you love it. Share it if you like it. Share it if you don't like it. Maybe, it'll land on the lap of someone who does. Appreciate you listening. Appreciate you watching. We'll catch you soon. Peace.